2888.
Yes, 237-2888. Because if...
I know. If water runs through it, they do it. Did you know honeybees have 5 eyes?
Oh, brother, you're going to do this all night now, aren't you?
Or that a strawberry is not actually a berry, but a banana is? Or that Chuck Norris killed 2 stones with 1 bird? Or that polar bears are left-handed? Or that... WOCA. Ocala.
Listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, the source, as we are now 5 minutes past the top of the 8 o'clock hour, broadcasting to you live from a currently shut down Paddock Mall, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, the source radio. It is time for our segment, Life South Community Blood Centers with Galen. We got Galen on the phone. Good morning, partner.
Hey, good morning, Adam. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a good weekend. I wasn't ready for it to be over, but such is life.
Now, did you watch Creed?
I did not get a chance to. I did not.
What else were you doing? There was nothing else to do.
It was a busy weekend. Let's see here. We were on Saturday. We went to Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens as we picked out some arborvitaes and some flowers that we planted amongst the patio. Let's see. We went to Big Lots to shop for what was it? The patio rug.
Walls, aren't you?
What's that?
Breaking all kinds of walls.
Yeah, and then
all these stores.
And then let's see. Well, and it was weird, my friend, because honestly, too, like everywhere was packed that you were able to go somewhere, and it's 90 degrees out, and we kept our distance from other people, and we didn't handshake. I ran into a couple people I knew, and they actually forgot because they come out, hey, how you doing? I was like, you should probably just do the old elbow bump or something. Oh yeah, that's right. Here, I've got gloves on, and here I took them off to actually shake your hand. It's I don't know, my friend. It's a practice of logical and illogical efforts in lieu of all this, and I can tell you one thing that I think is, and it's my opinion, is that I think is a little illogical, is I think it's the form or it's the magic show of safety, is how now we have checkpoints at the Florida-Georgia line to ask people if they came from New York or somewhere else. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, yeah, you mentioned a bunch of things. I still shake hands. When I run into people I know, I still shake their hand. I don't know if I'll ever be able to break that habit, but yeah, I saw that they were going to do that, and they're going to do that on the turnpike as well.
Yeah,
and that's illegal. I mean, I don't know how that's legal. You can't stop a citizen from traveling. Now they're doing under the guise that you're in a motor vehicle, they have a right to pull you over and all that, but. Man, that's what happens if they pull you over, right, to find out where you're traveling from, and they find something inside your car, right? I don't know. I think there's going to be lawsuits in regards to this. They don't have the police have no right to know where I'm going.
I don't think it's. I mean, of course, you could say way down deep, you can kind of understand the idea behind it, but it's a facade. It's a facade for what you think would be something to deter the spread of the virus. I don't think it's. I don't think it's logical. I don't think it's. I don't think it's. Again,
it's the government getting more power, right? I mean that's what all this has become about. It's how much power are we willing to give the government? And again, I mean, I know I watched the president yesterday, and he's going to extend this maybe all the way to May, and then he kept talking about June. Mm-hmm. And I just, again, it's up to the citizenry as to how long we put up with it. I know there was a big riot in France over the weekend that got zero coverage, but I'm just curious as to how long it'll take.
What was
like, the heck with it, I'm opening my stores.
Yeah, what was the riot, my friend? I didn't see that either.
They gathered in a public place when they were told they weren't allowed to, and it was a peaceful demonstration, But it was a, I guess if I call it a riot, it's not a riot, it's a protest. So that's what they're trying to do. And again, that's what will happen here. Is somebody with a small business will just say, you know what, I can't do this. Most small businesses don't have enough cash reserves to be able to pay their employees more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this massive $2 trillion bill they passed isn't going to effect until May. That doesn't mean no good right now. So.
Yeah. And I guess too, like now, and for those people who are listening, saying like, for what my opinion was on the border stuff, it's understanding that with social distancing and with the expectation of having, I guess the personal responsibility of trying to not further the spread. I get that, and where we're at farther along now with it, I get that. But this is a different action that almost feels unjust. It doesn't. Like when we talk percentages in a way, at what percent would they actually be doing any good with something like that? What do you actually? You can always come back. Well, we're saving lives. Yeah. To what extent and what number would that be of lives you'd save just by already having probable cause
again,
to search somebody?
It's taking away our freedoms under the guise of safety. Right? Whether, for some people, the safety may be important than their freedoms. Mm-hmm. I get it. To them, it's not that, and for others, it's, I'm sorry, you're embarking on my freedom.
And now they pointed out some states like New York, Louisiana. So if you come in and you have that plate of New York, you're automatically stopped. Like, that's profiling.
I don't know how that's legal. Yeah, I don't know how that's legal.
And I thought it deserved that conversation just because I heard so much more about it this weekend. I even read it in the Rip and Read, and I thought it deserved a different platform to be spoken about as a conversation, to hear all sides of the opinion of it. And my opinion of it is I think it's a little unjust.
No, I don't think it's unjust. I think it's a break in our freedoms. But this is what I've been saying for a long time. We have First Amendment gives us the right to assemble. We have a right in this country to travel throughout the country without showing somebody our papers. That's what it's become. We're having to show the people in charge, I'll put it that way, our papers.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. I mean, I'm amazed. I watched a pretty good movie. It's called Resistance. It's out on pay-per-view. It's about World War II and the French resistance. And Marcel Marceau, who's a famous mime. It's really about him and his story about what went on during World War II. But that's kind of where we're at, where they get stopped by the Gestapo, and the Gestapo asks them to see their papers. Yeah. I get it. It's not that extreme, but where does it stop? Right? I mean, I was watching on social media, and they were talking about how the governor's going to come and start, these people were having coronavirus parties. And if they did that, they were going to come and arrest you. I'm sorry. That's illegal. That's just incredibly illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a right to have anybody in my house that I want. Absolutely every right in the world. What's going on over there, Adam?
Yeah, I know. There we go. No, and you're right. And I think a lot of that, too, is like an instigation just to kind of prove, like you said, like in a way, like people kind of saying, hey, hold on a minute. I watched another video where it was out on the Panhandle where some people had their boats out for the weekend. And then they slid them up on the sandbar, and they were, somewhat next to them. And then, law enforcement actually were very cordial. They were very nice. And they were just being polite just to do their job is what they're told to do and follow the orders to do so. But what it became was, hey, we need the boats 50 feet apart from each other if they're going to be up on the beach. And it was a guy asking me like, well, why? Well, what are you going to do if I don't? And they're like, just don't be a smart ass. Just tell us, that you're going to do it, and just keep them 50 feet apart. That's what we're going around making sure we do. And I'm thinking, at one point I saw the video. There were like 8 people on one of the boat. Like, okay, so everybody's got 6 feet to stand away from each other with 8 people on the boat, or were they going to get attacked by law for having too many people on the boat based on all that other stuff? I don't know.
And again, I'm not a, I served in the military. I know what it means to follow orders, but also I know that there are some illegal orders, and there's going to be some serious blowback. We're either going to, again, I've said this all last week, we're at a precipice. Either our country is going to become less free because of this, more of our rights are going to be taken away. The government's watchdog is going to become even bigger and have more control of our lives. Mm-hmm. Or as a citizenry, we're going to say, you know what, this is too much. I'm sick of it. The government has no right to know what I'm doing on a day-in, day-out basis.
And I think
the law enforcement doesn't have a right to stop me unless I'm breaking a law.
Right.
I'm sure some lawyer will argue against me, but I firmly believe that. I'm tempted to. I'm tempted to go to Valdosta just to test it.
No, I think a lot of this too. I touched on this at the beginning of the show a little bit. I think what's overly exhausting, I think for us Americans and for people worldwide so far with this unorthodox, novel coronavirus crap, is the idea of where the emotions are. We're given information that's necessary, but we're supposed to feel a certain way at certain times. You mentioned it way early on, a few weeks ago, when it really wasn't a thing yet. You mentioned that it was becoming political, and so you said that somebody you had a conversation with said, "How could you say that?" And then you said basically it's absolutely becoming political, and it is in a way, because you're supposed to have an emotional reaction to any information you get from any media source. And when the president comes on to tell you on Sunday night that, hey, I think we're going to take some better action to extend this till April 30th, there's an emotional reaction. I think when certain things are thrown at you on social media about the healthcare workers who are in the first line of defense to try to treat this, there's emotional reaction. And there's so many through this that, you can feel empathy, sympathy, and then you start to feel fear and then anger and all this stuff towards what we are starting to have absolutely no control of whatsoever, other than washing our hands, coughing to our elbow, social distance. And I think that's the hardest thing for all of us to have to deal with this, is the fact that we don't really have much control over what's going on. I think at all.
I will tell you, I agree, and you're right. And that's how the government gets in charge, because they're fixing everything. And again, if I see one more photo of somebody who works at a hospital, who's wearing their PPE, and saying, "Oh, I'm fighting this, so you stay home." I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, great. Fantastic. You work in a hospital. And then I saw one politician say, yes, our nurses are underpaid. Yeah, well, everybody's underpaid. I guess. Everybody wants to make more money. But nurses make a really good living. So I don't know. I'm just frustrated by it all.
Right, and frustration is
I
the
really
biggest.
am. And again, it's going to end. I think we all agree with that. It's what kind of world we're going to live in after this is over. Come July 1, what does our world look like? So that's the question. Is the government going to be bigger than it ever has been? It already is. But is it going to grow exponentially because of this? Is Medicare for all going to be pushed through under this?
Right.
Are taxes going to go up in order to pay for it? Absolutely.
Right.
So is the CDC now going to become a watchdog?
Yeah.
Yes, because we gave them that power. Mm-hmm. The people we elected didn't even vote on it, Adam. Did you see? They didn't even vote on the budget because they didn't want to be on record for being approved it. They just passed it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how the heck is that possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
how is that legal?
Yeah, we got a caller. Good morning, WOCA. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
I just want to ask Galen, what would be the alternative? We elect these people, put them in office, and they put there for our protection. We have obviously a problem with this new coronavirus. My next question is, where is the churches in all of this? I'm on the religious side. America needs to examine itself. So what alternative do we have to stop the spread of this thing?
Well, I think you have, in my opinion, I think you have two issues. You got to pot him down, Adam. I'm going to have feedback.
Yep.
So we're going to have, there's two issues. One with the churches. Churches being closed, I think has been a massive impact on our society as a whole. You know, again, if you look at the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, it's right there. Freedom to assemble and to worship your God. I'm paraphrasing. But that's been taken away, right? There is a church in Florida that went ahead and had service, and they had massive blowbacks and sheriffs in the parking lot. So that's issue number one. Number two, how do we stop the spread? How do you stop the spread of any flu? You don't, but you still wash your hands. You're still smart. If you're of a certain age during the flu season, it's terrible. You know, the flu kills 35,000 people on average every year. I still haven't seen any evidence that this flu is that much different than the swine flu, which killed 1 million people in the world, and we didn't shut down anything. But, you know, the cost of this has been tremendous in our loss of freedoms and the loss of businesses we haven't even begun to feel. But we will. We will.
Yeah, well, I started the school in 1942, and we was always taught to brush our teeth, wash our hands, you know, take a bath and all of that from first grade all the way through L High, and we've always done that. And we had measles in those days. We had chicken pox.
Yep.
We had mumps. We had all kinds of childhood diseases. And one that had the disease would have to stay home and isolate himself until he was healed. He didn't shut down the schools and the businesses and all of that thing. These were diseases that could be easily spread through contact. Now, I have a problem with all of this closing everything down. And the bottom line is, how do you add $2 more trillion to the deficit? Somebody's got to pay for that sooner or later. And if this thing does not end in 2 or 3 weeks, and they're going to do it again, then there's another 2 or 3. After a while, America's going to be broke. And where do we get this money from to pay it back? We get it from the people that's got the money, which right now is China, the big oil barons in Iraq and Iran. And we putting ourselves in America's, it seems like to me, is on the way out.
It's a fair point. I mean, again, I've been talking about this for 3 weeks now, and I think it's a major overreaction and a major overreach by our federal government. But what do? Right? Because as a citizen, all I can do, and I have, is call my congressman and say, I don't want you to vote for this budget. I don't know. I just left a message. I don't know if he got it. I've met the guy. I don't particularly like him. I definitely didn't vote for him. So, you know, I think he's pretty corrupt. And then, you know, you've got the senators who are out there just, you know, we must pass this. We must. Why? Who's it truly helping? When you give yourself a $25 million raise. And by the way, the day that was signed, it went into effect. So April 1, Congress got their money for all of their people, right? But the American public doesn't get their money until May 1. And then the small business loans probably won't be processed until in June.
Yeah.
So, again, the government, this is what happens. It's a big snake eating its own tail. And have we reached that precipice where it just can't function anymore? I don't know.
No.
That's up to us. And you know, I know a lot of people rally negatively about the Tea Party, but the Tea Party was all about just this massive expenditure by the federal government, and it got such a bad rap in the media that it kind of went away because people just couldn't take it anymore. I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't like this expenditure. I don't like all these businesses being closed. They have a right to work.
Yeah.
They have a right to make a living, and the government is taking that from people. And we just kind of said, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. I think I want to say thanks for the caller there. I think he had a good point when he brought up when he was going through life there in the early days, like you said, with measles, with like you mentioned polio, with all this stuff. It was taken seriously, and there were expectations to be dealt with those situations, but it wasn't to the extent of closing the school for 3 months or businesses or everything like that in a sense. And that's sometimes where my opinion turns a little bit, because like I was saying, when we were finishing last week, we were on the expectation that, hey, maybe Easter sounds like a good idea. We got the conversation going, and when we can start getting back to work, so to speak. And now all of a sudden it's turned into another month. And this weekend, I always mention the weather with it, but when it's 90 degrees outside and the sun is shining and blazing, and the grass is having a hard time to stay green, at what point when the rest of the country gets better weather, will we ever then get through it? Because just as so much that when we say that the seasons or flu season's over with, we're getting right into another one. If you start talking about the ideas of August, September, or even October. And at the end of the day, too, we're talking about, I don't know, flattening the curve. At what point has that been flattened enough that we resume our daily lives? And at what point is it, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, and I guess I'm not trying to take a hard-sided opinion to it. I'm trying to stay neutral a little bit nonetheless, because, I understand. I understand some of it.
I don't like neutrality. I've never have. What's the point of being neutral?
I guess because I want to hear all the sides of it, and where I sit, I don't want to. I want to be too strong in one direction.
The most discussed issue since maybe that call with the foreign dignitary that Trump had.
Yeah.
Maybe more so. I think we're beyond being neutral. You either believe that we need to be safe, or you believe we need to have liberty. To me, it's two camps, and to me, there is no middle ground.
There is none. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess, in a way, isn't it?
What they're calling
Can't there be?
non-essential.
Yeah.
What would be the middle ground? Would schools be middle ground? Closing schools. So, are you for closing schools or against it?
Am I personally? I'm.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I'm against it, because I don't understand.
Okay.
If you're
Well,
talking
there you go.
if you're talking about a
So let's look at the trickle effect of opening schools. If you open schools, right, bus drivers, school teachers, all of these people are going to need. That means all of and Marion County Public. We'll just talk about Marion County Public Schools. Is one of the largest employers in the county, right? I think it's 2 behind the hospitals. So you put them back to work. Now you got to put all the government back to work, right? All the school boards back in, everything else. So right now, when you look at what they call essential, I'm going to open everything. If you're going to open up schools, and open up everything, and then let the individuals decide. Because you know what they could do is each of these individual little businesses could say, you know what, I'm only going to allow one customer in at a time.
Yeah.
Or I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is Tasty Freeze essential? It's 90 degrees. I want ice cream. Closed.
Excellent. Well,
do you understand my point?
I do.
And then what are we supposed to do with these kids when the parks are all closed?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my son can't even go play basketball. That's where we're at. We spend millions of dollars on Parks and Recreation, and I'm for every dime. And then they close it. For what? So you're either, to me, you're in the safe camp or you're in the freedom camp. That's it.
Gotcha.
There's no middle ground.
As we make our way towards the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, this segment brought to you by Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center. I'd like to thank Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, located at 2700 Southwest 34th Street. They offer skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapy. Any questions on how they're handling COVID-19, give them a call, 854-6262. And, of course, Penn Flooring, family-owned and operated, serving Marion County for over 30-plus years. Galen, I appreciate it, my friend, and I'm going to get to that movie here soon so we can talk about that a little bit also.
Creed. You need to watch it. It's a good movie. I need to know where it ranks. Because, by the way, I did watch Rocky 4, with Drago this weekend. Man, what a great movie. All right.
You got it, buddy. Have a good day, my friend. You take her easy.
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. We'll be back right after this. WOCA Ocala.
The former vice president on NBC's Meet the Press, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, says anyone caught breaking social distancing rules could be fined up to $500. More than 2,500 COVID-19 deaths are confirmed nationwide. America's listening to Fox News.
Pros can count on Lowe's to have the largest in-store selection of DeWalt tools in stock than any national retailer. And now we're bringing you even more DeWalt power, because DeWalt's new lineup of 20-volt Max XR tools with Power Detect delivers maximum performance when paired with high-capacity XR batteries. Save $100 on a DeWalt 20-volt Max XR with Power Detect brushless cordless drill and impact driver combo kit, now just $299. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 4/1, U.S. only while supplies last.
According to the 2010 census, only 13% of the population was over 65. Well, I wasn't part of the 13% back then, but I am now. And with the 2020 census, my response will inform funding for things like healthcare, public transit, all types of things to make 65 feel like the new 40. Yeah, okay, maybe the new 50.
Shape your future. Start here. Complete the census at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Did you call Mike Scott Plumbing about the irrigation?
No, but did you know a crocodile can't stick its tongue out? Or that Humpty Dumpty rhyme never actually says he's an egg? Or that Chuck Norris counted to infinity? Twice.
Where the hell do you come up with these facts? And what's that have to do with the lawn?
Nothing really, just hoping you'd forget what you told me to do.
Well, here's a fact. Just like an elephant, I never forget. And here's another fun fact for you. If my plants die because you didn't call Mike Scott Plumbing to come over and install an irrigation system, you're going to be the one out there all night with a hose.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think I'll call Mike Scott Plumbing right now.
Now that's a fact.
237-2888.
Yes, 237-2888. Because if...
I know. If water runs through it, they do it. Did you know honeybees have 5 eyes?
Oh, brother, you're going to do this all night now, aren't you?
Or that a strawberry is not actually a berry, but a banana is? Or that Chuck Norris killed 2 stones with 1 bird? Or that polar bears are left-handed? Or that...
Record high temperatures for today. It will be mostly sunny and hot. High today, 88 to 91. The record of 90 from 1995. Partly cloudy and warm for the night. Low tonight, 66 to 70. Patchy fog developing late and continuing into the morning tomorrow. Otherwise, Tuesday will be warm with periods of clouds and sun. Wind gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Tuesday's high, 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for